Hello. We are going live. I'm a couple of minutes early, but I think you should give me some slack because it's my birthday. So here I am talking to you about our project called Embrace. I have a poster behind me. I couldn't get it all in. I'm going to have to fix that so that I can get it in the picture in the future. But Embrace stands for Empowering Many, Being Receptive, and Creating Energy. And it is the group that I am developing to help generate positive activity on social media platforms, all social media platforms. And I need help with that because I'm not even on all social media platforms. So the more help I get, the better, promoting embrace and positivity. And today's kind of a sad day. I just found out that Kobe Bryant was killed in a helicopter accident. So that's kind of sad. And so I want to send out my condolences to fans as well as his family. And I was really sorry to hear that this afternoon. But I want to review last week. Last week we talked about fear and what keeps you from taking action. And we talked about a couple of different ways that you can overcome some of that. And one of the ways, of course, is realizing that it's happening. And when you call your attention to it, it brings it to the front of your mind, and then you can address it. Also, I talked a little bit about using Mel Robbins's 5-second rule as another option. But if any of you have any questions with regard to the things that we include in the videos, don't hesitate to private message me, and I will get you more information, or at least direct you to the places that I've been studying in order to create these videos. So tonight we're going to be talking about a couple of troubling P's, and we're not talking two peas in a pod here. We are talking perfectionism and procrastination, and they go hand in hand, unfortunately. And both are troubling to us as far as completing the tasks that we need to complete in a day or a year or in our lives, or completing things that are positive. And so perfectionism, of course, is striving for perfection. It's pushing yourself to be absolutely perfect. In fact, sometimes it can be so overwhelming that unless you feel like you're perfect, you don't take action at all. And that's where it ties into procrastination. Perfectionism is driven primarily by shame issues, according to Brene Brown, and it is driven by the worry of what other people think. And in previous videos, we've talked several times about how important it is to learn the difference between caring about others and letting their opinions teach or guide you to make decisions for your life. Your ultimate goal, of course, is to be happy. And you can't find happiness when you're constantly trying to please everyone else. I mentioned in the last video that I am a recovering people pleaser, and I still to this day catch myself doing little things that lead me to have to chastise myself for trying to be everything to everybody, which is just not possible. And it leads me to not be as happy as I can be. And I know that there are others out there that struggle as well. But with perfectionism, when you are trying to do everything just so and just right, you put so much stress on yourself that you ultimately are so much less happier than if you just do what makes you happy and quit worrying about what everybody else thinks. And that's so easy to say and so much harder to do. It really has to be something that you put into practice and that you develop over time. And I'm working on that skill. And to this day, I still catch myself falling into the trap of, oh, I shouldn't do this because of what someone else thinks. And the opinions of others affecting me. And so it's a constant and ongoing thing. And I think it probably will be for my whole life. And I assume that most people struggle with it off and on throughout their lives as well. And so that is a really troubling behavior that it's easy to fall into, and it's easy to incorporate into your everyday life, but it's really difficult to give up. And again, when I say caring about other people's opinions, I'm not talking about caring about other people. You don't need to be crass or hurtful with regard to others. None of the guidelines that I set up for you are designed to hurt others, because we're trying to promote positivity here, and it's not positive when you're hurting other people. So when I talk about not caring about others' opinions, I don't mean not caring as in you're being careless. I mean not caring as in not allowing other people's opinions to dictate your behavior. And so when it comes to perfectionism, that's a big part of it. And perfectionism is also a way that we protect ourselves against some other fears, including the fear of failure. So as long as we are striving to be perfect in everything that we do, and we're putting all this stress on ourselves, then we can avoid what we believe is failure. And that is another crippling behavior, because in many ways we put a lot of stress on ourselves that's unnecessary, and by doing that we actually prevent ourselves from having the freedom to be successful, and so it's counterproductive. And again, I mentioned that all of that leads to procrastination, and I have watched a lot of videos and read a lot of books with regard to procrastination, and procrastination is something that I believe we all struggle with once in a while. I put off things. I've gotten better, but it's an ongoing process and probably will be until I'm 102 and finally die of old age. But I believe it's something that we can make improvements on within ourselves, and that we can help those around us to improve as well. Procrastination is a stress reliever. If we have something that's hanging over our heads, or we have our plates just a little too loaded, we can procrastinate and put off having to deal with one stress or another. It's also a way of avoiding problems. So if you are, say, struggling financially and you put off looking at the mail, well, then you don't have to deal with the stress that it's going to cause you to look at those bills and figure out how to deal with them. Unfortunately, the thing about procrastination is it can run you into a wall. When I say a wall, I'm talking about time. Time management goes hand in hand with procrastination. And one of the ways that you can actually relieve the habit of procrastination is through time management. And I want to reiterate and to emphasize the fact that, I know I mentioned in another video, but these behaviors are behaviors. They're habits. They're not who you are. You are not a procrastinator. You are someone who has a habit of procrastinating, and that habit can be altered. And as long as you recognize that and you take steps to help alleviate that, then you can improve the quality of your life. So bear in mind that none of this is permanent. None of it is, based in your core who you are. It's all things that can be changed through practice. And so I just want to encourage you to be aware of the fact that you're not stuck with any of this stuff. If you happen to be struggling with procrastination, then it can be handled. And the first thing that you want to do, if you are struggling with procrastination, which like I do, is forgive yourself. If you beat yourself up over it, then you're not really able to move on. And until you forgive yourself for procrastinating on an issue or a project, then you can't really move on to the next step. And the next step with regard to procrastination is oftentimes time management. And time management is really tough. There's a law, I think it's really interesting. I've been studying it this week. It's called Parkinson's Law. And what it says is that the amount of work that you have to do will fill up the time that you give it to get it done. So an example is if you have like a science project that's due in a month. Strangely enough, you do not start that sucker until 2 days before it's due. Now, if that same science project had been given a week, you still would probably do it in the same 2 days, but you'd only be procrastinating a few days instead of 3 weeks. And that's kind of an example of how Parkinson's Law works. Now, how you can use that to your advantage is by understanding the time that you have to accomplish a goal and managing that time. So I have used this technique lately to help keep me on track. And recently, in fact, about an hour ago, I finished a 72-hour cleanse, and all I had was ClickList for 3 days. And that was because I had been putting things in my body that I shouldn't be. And so I was trying to clear that all out so that I can do a fresh start and continue with my healthy lifestyle. And I found that when I just set a time limit on it, that it wasn't so impossible. I find that with the open time limit, either you don't start and you don't get anything done, or you take forever and you make a project that could easily be done in a shorter period of time take a long period of time. And so by realistically placing these time goals on the things that you do, you can get a lot more done. Now here's the deal. You have to be realistic about the time. And sometimes that's really hard because you can estimate how long you're going to think something's going to take. And then horrible things come along like traffic and sickness and the car not starting and other things that'll cause there to be delays or problems with regard to those times. So it's really important that you are aware of the fact that it takes a little bit of practice to set these time goals. And sometimes you're not completely accurate, and you got to forgive yourself for that too. The example that I was given recently was it's kind of like a fire when it comes to setting these time limits. If a fire is far, far away from you, then you have a low level of risk, and you can see it off in the distance, but you're not really all that worried about it. However, if that fire is in your backyard, then you really need to move on it now. And that was kind of an example that was given about how to make these decisions with regard to time management. So if you have a deadline or something that needs to be done that's right on top of you, you need to set a tighter deadline than if it's farther out. The thing is even if it's farther out, be aware of when you're setting that deadline and when you need to get the project done. My example right now is this book. I've been working on this little book for 2 years. This is not a hard little book. It's simply a self-help manual for, are you ready for this? Getting started. Yeah, ironic, right? I finally got it started yesterday. Now I have a whole video series outlining the work sheets that I have that go with this little manual. And I already have notes for each and every chapter and section. I've already got divided into sections and parts, and I've already got all the goals written down for each of those sections. So all I really have to do is fill in the words in between. But I have procrastinated it, and I have worried about perfectionism, and yeah, because it's a lot I can't do because, I didn't set a deadline. And if you don't have a deadline at all, it's really easy just not to start. So a few weeks back, so you might remember, I committed to getting this book done by June and getting a chapter done every month. Well, thanks to life, the universe, and everything, and my ability to procrastinate with the best of them, I started this weekend. So I get to get it done by Friday. Look at me go, silly woman. So fortunately, I did get the introduction done and the first of the chapters. So I'm on my way, yay! But I probably wouldn't have had to stress about it so much and spend all day on my birthday sitting at home writing my book if I planned ahead a little bit better and I had managed my time better. So just so everyone knows, it's still an ongoing process for me as well. So that's a little bit about procrastination and a little bit about perfectionism and how they can cause problems in our lives and how they can be deterrents from the goals and the dreams that we are trying to accomplish. So for this week, definitely think about, if nothing else, identify the perfectionism and procrastination tendencies that you have in your own life. And I want to right now apologize for that phone. I usually put it on silent, and I totally forgot to do it, and I can't reach it from here. So I'm really sorry that that phone is going off right now. But I'm going to ignore it because I'm dedicating my time to you. And in addition to that, I wanted to thank everyone for all the birthday wishes today. It's really awesome. And tell you that next week I'll be back with another video. And I want to talk a little bit about the videos themselves. So These videos I'm designing to create some more positivity on the internet. I know that we're coming into an election year. There's a lot of stuff going on, and that it's going to be easy for us to fall into loops of negativity. And I was really excited about trying to counteract some of that with some more positive energy on social media platforms. So I've been doing my little daily challenges on TikTok that I share on my Jenny Castle page and that I share on Instagram. And they're kind of fun. I highly recommend trying it out and either joining TikTok and then maybe doing the daily challenges or creating your own scenario. If you do, let me know and I can follow you on those platforms. And so we can do some of this stuff together. Also, I am continuing the Best Decade Ever with Mel Robbins. And this week we were challenged to come up with 5 people that we could have a dream team support system with. And I haven't really put together the 5 people that are going to be on that team. I've thought of a lot of different people and I've talked to a few people, but I know that ultimately if I could have my perfect dream team, it would include Oprah. I think that one's going to be a while before I get her on. But it's good to dream, right? So that's one of the things that I've been working on this week. And I hope that all of you are setting some really amazing challenges for yourselves for the 2020s and for this decade, as well as for 2020 itself. I know that I have a lot of things going on and that I'm really excited about this year, and I hope that you are too. In addition to that, I'm learning new things all the time, and I find that exciting, and I love that challenge. And right now, what I've been working with is transferring my live videos from Facebook to YouTube. And I managed to get the first one done. It's last week's video. I published it on YouTube today. I didn't do the greatest job in the whole world. It's not a perfect thumbnail. It doesn't have the greatest description ever, but I got it done. And taking action is what all of this positivity has been about, is just taking action. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to be flawless. You don't have to have an expensive studio and know everything there is to know about what you're trying to do before you take action. Just take action. Do anything. Anything is better than nothing at all. And I've seen so many posts on various platforms where people are talking about others who like their work, and then they want to check out their friend who has liked their work, and they go to their platform and they see nothing posted. And so I want it to be a challenge to you, if you're on these various platforms, to post something now and then, and to build your social awareness and that of those around you as well. It doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be studio quality. It just has to be you, sharing you with the world, because you are a perfect version of you. And so that's what we're all doing, and we're all creating this amazing community that supports one another and that is fun and positive and can help us to be inspired by others that we see doing amazing things. So I hope that you have the opportunity to do that as well. And if anyone has any questions about any of those or wants any pointers, let me know. I can include links in the comments below these videos to help you find some of these places that I've gone to learn some of the stuff, or some of the videos that I've been relying on. And so you can share those too. What I try to do is I'm always reading a book or 2. Right now I'm reading 2. And one of them is this little book right here. I was going to share that with you. It's a lot of fun. I got it free on Facebook. But it's all about self-publishing your books on Amazon, and that's what I plan to do with this little manual that I'm writing. I'm not going to make it perfect. It's not going to be super fancy. I'm not going to spend a lot of money on it. And to be honest, I never planned to print it out unless something really weird happens and it skyrockets. But I always planned for it to be a digital thing, and so this is going to be really fun. I've learned a lot from this author, Rob Cosberg, and I found that it was very useful, and I'll probably include some of those tips later in a video as we go through the year. I'm also reading this book. This is a really great book. Now, I've had this book for a long time, and I didn't pick it up because I struggle with being fiscally responsible. I was never taught to save money as a kid, and so I'm not happy about that. I want to spend my money. And so I have procrastinated about picking up Susie Orman's book because I didn't want to deal with that. And so now, as I get into the book, not only do I realize that it's not impossible, it's actually kind of fun. She's an amazing writer, and I feel silly for having put off reading this book for so long. So I'm excited about that as well. I want to talk a little bit about Embrace. Again, you can see the poster behind me because on the 2nd and 4th Sundays of each month, I'll be talking about Embrace Communities. And that is a program that I'm working on developing that will help to create positive social interaction on the various social platforms. Right now, I have a Facebook page. Eventually, I'd like to turn it into a nonprofit where we could coordinate speakers and events in various communities, like a town hall or get together, church communities, rec centers, etc., to help people to get together face to face as well as just on social media. Right now, it's primarily social media, and helping to promote positive interaction, as in supportive and happy and excited and good news. And if somebody has a bad day and needs a little bit of a boost, that's a good place to go. And so for those of you that are out there listening or that listen to the recording of this video, please go to Embrace Communities and like the page, and so you can contribute as well, because I can't create all this positivity by myself. I am counting on all of you out there to help me. And I will go to the comments after this video posts, and I will put the link into the Facebook page for Embrace Communities, and I'll also comment on this video through Embrace so that you can find it. It's really simple right now. I just barely started it. I also did a website, embracecommunities.com. I'll put that link in there too. And I was pretty proud of myself. That was a lot of work. I am not a web designer, but I managed to work my way through it and put together a very simple, but at least presentable web page for Embrace Communities. And you can check that out as well. And if anybody wants to help with any of that stuff or wants to be a part of Embrace Communities, I welcome all positive interaction on that platform. So I hope to see some of you there, and I hope to see it grow throughout the next year. And one of my goals for 2020 is to get over 1,000 followers on Embrace Communities. And sometimes when I dream really big, I go like hundreds of thousands, but that's usually within the decade, not just this year. I'm trying to be realistic but optimistic, and so yeah, I would really like to see that grow. And I know that in the future I plan to hopefully promote events and speaking opportunities for me and others within that community. So if any of you are speakers, please let me know as well, and maybe we can get together at some point and put together a positive face-to-face interaction with some of the people on Embrace Communities. So I think that would be a lot of fun. So that's a little bit about Embrace Communities. And if those of you that like the page want to post on Embrace Communities, I'm going to put in a little plug right here for Canva, because I've been using Canva extensively to create my posts on various social media platforms. And so since I'm using the free version, I thought the least that I could do is send out a word of thanks to Canva for helping me to create content that is more visibly pleasing and organized. And I suggest that if you are trying to create similar work, that is one of the tools that you can use. It's called CANVA, Canva, and there is a free option as well as a paid option. So I like to plug them a little bit there. But for those of you that are out there struggling with procrastination, I just want you to know you're not alone. Me too. And for those of you out there that are struggling with perfectionism, there are times when I wish that that was my problem, but it's not. But I do sympathize with people wanting to be perfect. I've kind of, most of my life, been a this will do kind of person, and I always thought maybe my work was just a little less polished than other people's, but it turns out that that is a healthy way to be. Who knew? I just did it because it was less stressful on me. So for those of you that are struggling with perfectionism, please look into getting the advice and wisdom from those that are out there that are helping to deal with that issue, like Brene Brown and Mel Robbins and Jen Sincero and others who have addressed that particular issue, and try to find the different tools that work for you to help take some of that stress out of your life. Because I don't know about you, but I really want 2020 to be a far happier place for me than 2019. And it's not because 2019 was all that bad. It's just because I want to continually progress toward getting better. And I know that a lot of you do as well. So I'm about out of time at this point, and I want to thank everyone for joining me tonight. Thank you, JC, and Tom and Janet, and Jaylene, and Elena, and my brother. And I want to thank everyone who has been supportive of Embrace Communities and will continue to be so, because I know that it's so important that I get more than just me out here doing this, because I can't do it by myself. It's got to be a group effort. So I hope that everyone has a great week. And next week, oh my gosh, it's going to be February. Who knew? Okay, next Sunday is February. We're going to be through with January. We're going to be 1 month down on 2020. And I hope that those of you out there that set some goals for yourself are making wonderful headway toward reaching those goals. And I will keep you posted about mine as well. And we can all support one another, because mutual support is what we're all about here at Sunday Night Live and Embrace Communities. Thank you all so much. And in case no one's told you today, I love you, and you're valuable. You matter. Thank you so much. And I will see you next Sunday, same bat time, same bat channel. Cheers.